Today I'm pleased to be here with Minister Wong to announce that effective today, Sunday the 21st of September 2025, the Commonwealth of Australia recognises the state of Palestine. We have had in Australia a long-term position on a bipartisan basis of two states. One of those states is of course Israel, the other of course is Palestine. And this recognition being announced today in sync with our international partners, the United Kingdom and Canada, means that 3 of the Five Eyes nations are all making this decision today. We recognise the legitimate and long-held aspirations of the people of Palestine of a state of their own. And in doing so, we reaffirm Australia's long-standing position of two states, the State of Israel and the State of Palestine, living side by side behind internationally recognised borders in peace and security. Our act of recognition is based on the commitments received from the Palestinian Authority, including that the terrorists of Hamas cannot govern Gaza again. Palestine recognises Israel's right to exist in peace and security, and the Palestinian Authority will demilitarise and hold democratic elections, driving broader reform to governance, finance and education. I want to acknowledge the leadership of the Arab League that has given added strength to these commitments. Their demand for Hamas to end its rule in Gaza and surrender its weapons has helped to create this moment of opportunity. This is the best chance the world has had in decades to disarm and isolate Hamas and deliver self-determination for the people of Palestine. This is a moment of opportunity for nations of goodwill to work together, to see the hostages taken in the atrocities of October 7, 2023 returned immediately and with dignity, to bring about an immediate ceasefire and to bring an end to the humanitarian catastrophe which is being inflicted on Gaza, to see vital aid, food, water, medicine flow to people in need. Australians want the killing to stop. Australians also, of course, don't want conflict to be brought to Australia. And Australians want the people of Palestine and the people of Israel to know a future of greater hope, true security and real peace. Today we advance that cause. Tomorrow we continue that work. And tomorrow afternoon's conference being convened by Saudi Arabia and France will be the next step following the recognition which our 3 states are announcing today.
In the face of the growing horror in the Middle East, we are acting to keep alive the possibility of peace and a two-state solution. That means a safe and secure Israel alongside a viable Palestinian state. At the moment, we have neither. Ordinary people, Israeli and Palestinian, deserve to live in peace, to try to rebuild their lives free from violence and suffering. That's what the British people desperately want to see. Yet, almost 2 years after the barbaric attacks of October the 7th, hostages are still held by the terrorists of Hamas. Recent images show the hostages suffering and emaciated. Hamas even refused to release all the bodies of the dead. I have met British families of the hostages. I see the torture that they endure each and every day, pain that strikes deep in people's hearts across Israel and here in the United Kingdom. The hostages must be released immediately, and we will keep fighting to bring them home. Let's be frank. Hamas is a brutal terror organisation. Our call for a genuine two-state solution is the exact opposite of their hateful vision. So we are clear, this solution is not a reward for Hamas, because it means Hamas can have no future, no role in government, no role in security. We have already prescribed and sanctioned Hamas, and we will go further. I have directed work to sanction other Hamas figures in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, the man-made humanitarian crisis in Gaza reaches new depths. The Israeli government's relentless and increasing bombardment of Gaza, the offensive of recent weeks, the starvation and devastation are utterly intolerable. Tens of thousands have been killed, including thousands as they tried to collect food and water. This death and destruction horrifies all of us. It must end. We have evacuated the first group of sick and injured children to the United Kingdom to be treated by the NHS, and we continue to increase our humanitarian support. But still, nowhere near enough aid is getting through. We call again on the Israeli government to lift the unacceptable restrictions at the border, stop these cruel tactics, and let the aid surge in. With the actions of Hamas, the Israeli government escalating the conflict, and settlement building being accelerated in the West Bank, the hope of a two-state solution is fading. But we cannot let that light go out. That is why we are building consensus with leaders in the region and beyond around our framework for peace. This is a practical plan to bring people together behind a common vision and a series of steps, including the reform of the Palestinian Authority, that takes us from a ceasefire in Gaza to negotiations on a two-state solution. We will keep driving this forward. As part of this effort, I set out in July the terms upon which we would act in line with our manifesto to recognise Palestinian statehood. That moment has now arrived. So today, to revive the hope of peace and a two-state solution, I state clearly, as Prime Minister of this great country, that the United Kingdom formally recognises the state of Palestine. We recognised the state of Israel more than 75 years ago as a homeland for the Jewish people. Today, we join over 150 countries who recognise a Palestinian state also. A pledge to the Palestinian and Israeli people that there can be a better future. I know the strength of feeling that this conflict provokes. We have seen it on our streets, in our schools, in conversations we've had with friends and family. It has created division. Some have used it to stoke hatred and fear, but that solves nothing. Not only must we reject hate, we must redouble our efforts to combat hatred in all its forms. We must channel our efforts, united together in hope, behind the peaceful future that we want to see. The release of the hostages, an end to the violence, an end to the suffering, and a shift back towards a two-state solution as the best hope for peace and security for all sides.
Hello to everyone. Listen, I wanted to make this little reaction because I have received a lot of questions and comments from you over the past hours, days and weeks. Sometimes a lot of anger and sadness, sometimes encouragement. Obviously about the decision we made, and also the situation, above all, the situation currently in Gaza. So I wanted to tell you that, like you, I have been wounded, hurt, and shared the pain of all the families of victims and hostages of October 7th, 2023. and that we haven't forgotten any of them. Just a few days ago, right here in this office, I was with some of these families. I absolutely do not forget the pain, suffering, the distress of all families. What victims of Gaza and those who live today under bombardment, without access to humanitarian aid, and deep down, all lives are equal, and behind it we have lives stolen, lives taken away, people who are suffering, and what we want. What France wants is peace. What France wants is an immediate ceasefire. What France wants is that the 48 hostages be released without delay. What France wants is the return of humanitarian aid to Gaza. What France wants is a possible day in Gaza, with Hamas dismantled and removed from power. What France wants is a reinvented, renewed Palestinian Authority, the school curricula that do not teach hate, the conditions that will allow peace at the heart of this Palestinian Authority. What France wants are two states living in peace side by side. A state of Israel that recognizes a state of Palestine. A state of Palestine that recognizes a state of Israel. A state of Palestine which will be demilitarized and live in peace alongside Israel. This is what we will do on September 22nd in New York. This recognition is the beginning of a journey. It's a course, with all these conditions, these requirements for stakeholders. And in the end, it's a path for peace, to save lives, and to try together to live up to the human dignity we owe each other. Thank you very much.